All right, Ariel. Woo. All right, we're back. My virtual background's blurring my beer. Here. We've got a delicious Island Rascal for today's Pints with Air. And I'm really excited about this. This is a really, really good one. I had to dive in early and I had to start drinking way before the episode started here. So
Well, it's pretty late, so yeah, I'll give you that.
I took a sip and I couldn't stop before the episode started here. So it's going to be a good Friday. All right, but yeah, the this is one I haven't had before. Belgian style, brewed with Belgian style white ale with passion fruit and spices, and it's the Rocky Mountain water, as I was saying, is the secret ingredient here that makes it. But malted barley, wheat, passion fruit, coriander, orange peel, hops, and Belgian yeast.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's pretty. I would describe it as juicy. I mean, the passion fruit is pretty heavy, but it's delicious and easy to drink. It's just kind of like a juice.
Oh, yeah. I saw on the website that they, speaking of it being like a juice, they say it pairs well with breakfast. So if you're ever on the fence about trying to find a good breakfast beer,
look no further. Yep.
Yeah, look no further than the Island Rascal. Can't go wrong. Thanks, Avery. 30 beers, 30 years. Happy anniversary to us both. All right, all that good stuff. Well, yeah, I love that we're rolling through with the classic products, because today we're going to talk about the AX7, and it kind of keeps inching us closer to more modern day air stuff, but then also kind of continues to kind of progress in the lineup of products, and kind of scale up with your involvement in them. And it's just there's a lot of cool things that kind of continue to happen with the company as these products moved on. So it's kind of neat to get all that history. But
yeah, AX7. So yeah, our first integrated amp. So it was it was the first of our kind of much more budget friendly kind of entry level at the time products. I think when we first introduced them, it was either $29.50 or $32.50 when we first released it. So at the time, it was a really nice price point, and performance, that value to performance was unrivaled.
Mm-hmm.
And so pretty moderate 60 watts into 8 ohms. But as we've heard dozens, hundreds of times from happy customers, that it punches way above what you would expect from a 60 watt amp. I haven't really heard about any speakers that had a problem driving. And so on the, it's kind of the design side, this was certainly for its time one of the easier design cycles that I remember. And again, it really benefited from all that work that we did in the V5, V6. This benefited because we had already figured out all the problems. And so again, this was just scaled down as far as power and even treads. So we actually used a physically smaller transistor. We used pairs still. So it was the paralleled bridged complementary output stage. Again, the same balanced topology that we always used and still use. And then smaller internal heat sinks perpendicular to the board, which was new for us, but it makes the assembly quite a bit easier. You don't have to bend component leads and get things at exactly the right height and all that stuff. So a simplified assembly. and with that lower power, we could use some moderately sized heat sinks. And so as far as that analog section goes, at least the output stage, that was just dropped in. We had 0 issues with it, and it worked brilliantly, and we haven't touched it or changed it since. The input stage and volume control was all new, and so, you know, again, trying to make an entry-level product, a more budget-friendly product. We knew we couldn't use the volume control like we did in the K3 and K1. We could not use Shalco-based volume control. And so either for input switching and for the volume control, in fact, because the K1 used Shalco input switching. K3 it didn't use Shalco, it used another smaller rotary switch, enclosed rotary switch that was board mounted. But so anyway, here, you know, we needed to find a different solution. So this is our first foray into solid state switches. And so both for input switching and volume control, we used fairly generic solid state. They're technically muxes. And so at the time, each individual chip was basically a dual 4x1 mux, which the dual I was handy just because again, we use balanced circuitry of the 2 phases per channel, so you can have one chip to do both phases of a balanced channel. You can see, quite a few of those ICs on there. Almost all those ICs are the input and volume switching chips. By the time it was a very generic chip, and like they were on the order of 25 cents or 50 cents each, perhaps. So they were relatively affordable and easy to get. And the way we used them, again, being smart about how you use them, we did some early tests to make sure that they would be acceptable as far as sound quality, and we were very pleasantly surprised, like just how they're not as transparent as Shalco switch, but considering the price difference, they were awesome. They were really good.
Probably just the simplicity from manufacturing and production, like the speed of production for it. Yeah. Probably a lot quicker.
Yeah, way quicker. Yeah, I mean, there's no mechanical setup. There's no mechanical wear. It's silent in operation. So when you change volume, you change input, it's just again, it's just charges inside a chip that changes, and it is absolutely silent. And it is that, along with the K5, is probably one of my favorite products to use, just because it's so easy and clean and quiet. Not that the noisy preamps bother me, I like that too, but these ones were just a different experience, and a real pleasure to use. And then this, and so instead of our JFET, our typical JFET input differential balanced input stage, we did something different here. And so Charlie found there's an analog device chip that is actually a variation. There are diamond buffers in it, and it's a variation on that. So, but it looks like an op amp, and can be used as an op amp, but we use it in a different way that doesn't explicitly use feedback, because again, for those who remember the very early days of Ayre, we used to have a white paper even that said why not ICs, and so referring mostly to specifically op amps. And so here, we kind of broke our rule a little bit that we're, we definitely use ICs here, but IC is just an integrated circuit. And so we did, with this special chip we use here, it's very similar to an op amp, technically not an op amp, but it actually has very similar circuit topologies to what we use nowadays as far as our diamond buffers.
Huh.
That's pretty cool. One of the I think one of the only snags we hit, because there was a non-zero input bias current on these chips. You'll see on that board, if you back up on one of your pictures and you see the whole board, there are some white capacitors. This is the only product we made that is actually not a true DC input to output amplifier. This is actually capacitor coupled input.
So that's why its frequency response is 2 hertz to 200 kilohertz, not DC to.
Oh, correct. And so I think actually that made a very easy location. I think we've done maybe one unadvertised mod to NAX7 for the Vandersteen high pass, because it's very easy to just replace those caps with a different value to hit that 100 hertz instead of 2 hertz. It was quite a while ago. I don't remember who it was for, but anyway, this is the only capacitor coupled product that we've ever made. And at this point, don't intend to do it again. And so we were, and Charlie especially was really very reluctant to do so in the beginning, just because that was, part of our core philosophy at the time was, DC coupled input to output. And so we were reluctant to do it. So we had to do quite a few listening tests, and figure out the values right and make sure, and as well as the quality. The part of one of the big keys to doing capacitor coupling right is the quality of the capacitor is paramount. It is that is going to define how well that sounds. And so when you're sending audio signal through a capacitor for coupling, it has to be a really high quality capacitor to be sufficient. So we tried a few. I know these ones were ones that we are semi-custom made for us, and then we do some other treatments to them. Yeah, what else did we do here? What we did better on here than the V5, again, as we continue to learn a bit more power supply regulation, we improved. Again, like every product almost always is a step up in evolution as far as our power supply voltage regulation. So this has some improved power supply regulation. What else do we do here?
Its initial launch was January 2002, it looks like, and it came out as AX7, and then we added the E update afterwards.
Yeah, which again was mostly AC power related, primarily, more power filtering and such. The other thing that we did here was a more, call it digital display. I mean, it was just a 7-segment readout for the volume. It went 0 to 66, and so it was the first time we did our own an actual digital or rather a numeric readout for the volume. And we did it so that front bar rocked side to side, and so you touch the right side, volume would go up, and the left side, volume would go down. So we had to figure out a whole little spring mounted mechanism for that little bar. Yeah, so that was really clean. We didn't put any marking on it, so someone who was completely unfamiliar with it didn't know that was the volume bar, but figured it out pretty quick, and it was in the manual also, but it was and then that's right, yeah, looking at that picture reminds me. So the initial, and one of Charlie's initial intents for the input naming, and so he was kind of sick of just the just the, I'd say, boring, it's like input 1, 2, 3, 4, or B1, B2, and so he wanted to do something different, because again, like it doesn't matter. It just has to, you just have to be able to match up the input on the front with the connector on the back. So all the prototypes and even some of the production units had, we had a star, a planet, a comet, and a moon symbol as the input labels. And so some people like that. Some people thought it was goofy, and some people didn't like it. So after the initial production, we did actually added the option to use numeric buttons instead of symbolic buttons, and then we had both silk screens on the rear of the chassis, so when dealers ordered one, they had to choose between the numeric or the symbolic buttons on the front.
Okay. I like it. I think I can see how maybe someone who's maybe more right or left brained would like one or the other.
Sure.
A little bit more.
Yeah. And this was probably our first product, was also from the beginning had a microprocessor control. And so we did, and again, we were only willing to do that if we could have microprocessor control without the drawbacks of, at the time was a drawback of using was digital noise being produced by the microprocessor. So we were able to find parts that you could put to sleep fully, so they actually powered off. Clock was not running, made zero noise when they were off, and so that we could essentially, when any input change, either a volume change input or an input change, it would sense that voltage and wake up, start running, figure out what the change was, make the change really quick, and then go back to sleep, and it would latch the display so that, again, it would shut off so that nothing was running. So it had zero impact on the analog sound quality, because there was no digital circuitry running. That was our requirement for being able to use digital control like that. The original release of the V5, V6 used just glue logic, did not have a processor to do all of its logic functions. Mid-production, we changed the logic board to use a very similar processor to this, so that it was actually a programmable processor running the V5, V6. But the original release for several years did not have a processor in it at all. But again, that would, again, go to sleep and not make any noise. We had, that was, and so I did all the firmware programming for that. Our first foray into programmable processor was actually in the D1 when we're doing some of our video processing, we had to write some of our own code for a little processor um, to communicate and as well as alter data on the video side of things within the D1. I think pretty sure that was the first time we did any programming and processors. But this was the first product to use it as the primary control. So that was fun. Again, it all went pretty smoothly. I mean, if you look back at like my piles of prototypes, I think like we made the first round of prototypes and we're able to make very pretty minor modifications to the original boards, and it was from what I remember a remarkably short design cycle. We were able to nail things down really quick.
I've got my my aerial cheat sheet here from your involvement over the years, and so it looks like you did assist on the audio PCB, solo on the logic, hand built all the prototypes, coded all the UI firmware. It's a lot.
Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah, and so this this is one of those products that I hear from customers fairly regularly, that they're just, it was one of those products that just it punches way above its weight, and just sounds fantastic, and especially for the price point, it was just a no-brainer.
Sure. Yeah, I know this is one a lot of our frontline sales guys and a handful of our dealers own and use this, and we use it every day, all day, many hours. Sometimes we just leave it on playing all night in the factory here.
Right.
It's our jukebox for the production area, so we're using AX7 every day. It sounds great.
Yep.
Yeah, I can see how kind of like the design language of this too, with kind of this sleeker form factor, the vented top. I can see how this was kind of it kind of set the stage and paved the way for the EX8. I can see how this is kind of a relative or of the EX8 here.
Yeah. I've got one at home right now, and my dad has one. We've a lot of Ayre friends and family have AX7s, and they're it's just a fantastic piece.
It's pretty easy to work on for us too, and the fact that it's one of these big blue electrolytic caps per channel makes it also a real easy candidate to consider doing like a spa treatment or like a refresher on. I mean, with it coming out in 2002, we're gonna have a lot of these amps creeping up on that 15 to 20 year mark soon, where it'll be good to potentially consider doing that. But it's pretty cost effective in terms of an amplifier to do a recap on.
Yeah, for sure. But also the internal temperature in the product is not very drastic, and so less than 15-20 years, like I'm pretty sure those things will last quite a while. Hitting up to 15-20 years, they are probably aging enough. I haven't really seen any of those fail either.
Yeah, chances are you'd probably be better off sending it in if it was just like not being used and in storage or something for a long period of time.
Yeah, exactly right.
But yeah, it's sexy little box. And so I'm guessing with Charlie's picture here too, and the fact that you assisted on the audio board, you assisted Charlie in this design. This was kind of one of his.
Well, yeah, I mean, I probably did 95% of the circuit board layout. And then we worked together on the schematic and figuring out how to do the volume control and the input switching. And so, yeah, so the volume control, just to hit on that a little bit. It's 66 steps. So the way that we did it is, what is this? We have 11 course steps. Course basically essentially as an input attenuator, and then we have 6 1 dB steps that is actually set up as variable gain of the voltage gain stage. And so it was, it's almost again leading towards our full variable gain. It's certainly a different topology though, but it is technically variable gain, but just for those fine steps. So 11 course 6 dB steps, and then within those, so again that the 0 to 66 is all 1 dB steps. But again, it works so simply and quietly. It was certainly different than our prior preamps, which were all the mechanical knobs, a lot of friction, and were loud with the remote, with the stepper motor moving the whole mechanism. So this was a very different take on it.
Yeah. A little more chic and modern and kind of futuristic in a sense.
Yes, again, it has Carter's wire to go from the output stage to the speaker posts. And again, it's just probably one of our cleanest, simplest, construction wise. The one main audio board, speaker wires, and then the one control wire going from the front panel logic board, which you can't really see in any of these photos, to the middle. Yeah, I can see it right behind the display there. The one transformer. It's really one of our cleanest assemblies ever. Again, a little bit front heavy because that transformer is mounted really far forward. So it is a smidge front heavy.
Yeah. Be careful taking this thing in and out of your rack.
Yeah, a little bit. And this, so the other thing here, so we've talked about this before, where we do all of our closures as non-magnetic materials. And so it's always been, we've always done aluminum chassis pieces. This one, Charlie had the idea, he thought it might actually end up being a bit more cost effective, where this was actually stainless steel main chassis. The cover and faceplate were still aluminum, but the core chassis you see there is actually stainless steel, and which was pretty unique. And it gave us a couple headaches, because like some of the fasteners, some of the PEM fasteners that the metal shop presses in don't press in well into the thin stainless. So they actually had to weld them in, and that drove them crazy. Apparently, it still worked pretty fine. It didn't give us many problems, but apparently they did not like doing that. And the only other real drawback, remember, which anybody with certainly with stainless steel appliances know, that it fingerprints pretty easily. It smudges up, it fingerprints pretty easily. So again, that only mattered here, just on the rear of the chassis, because kind of the top and the face were still anodized aluminum, but the rear would get pretty fingerprinted up, it's smudged. But otherwise, it was another pretty unique solution, to trying to get that non-magnetic feature that really helps the sound. Although I'll say that what we did learn, and someone who's a bit more knowledgeable of some of the material sciences might already know this, but that we learned in the process is that the raw stainless steel is nearly non-magnetic until you bend it, and so right at those creases, it actually becomes slightly more magnetic. It realigns, some of the crystalline structure or something. And so if you take a pretty strong magnet, just along the flat surfaces of that chassis, it's not magnetic until you get to one of the folds, one of the bends, and it becomes slightly magnetic.
Oh, that is cool. I hope somebody material sciences or physics minded chimes in on that. That would be really cool to get some more info, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
See, I just got to get you to just kind of think a little extra about one quirky thing, and then all the other ones will start coming out. Right. No, this is that's really neat.
Yeah. Yeah, so again, a custom Mercury magnetics made transformer for this, appropriately sized for this power rating. We'll talk about that again when we get to the K5.
Oh, yes, it looks pretty similar.
Yes. Yeah. It was certainly, as mentioned, the two electrolytic caps, and so there's one on each side. It's not left and right. One is the plus rail, one's the minus rail, and it's shared across each sides. So it's not left and right, but it is, again, kind of similar to the V5, where it's not a ton of capacitance, and we certainly would have loved to have a lot more capacitance, but again, trying to hit a price point at that budget, you have to compromise some places, and so that was one of them, where we had although because this is a lower powered product, the voltage rails are lower, so we can have a lower voltage spec capacitor, which allows it to be more capacitance, which is what we're looking for here.
I bet this thing would pair super well with like some high efficiency horn speaker or something too. I mean,
it pairs well with almost anything, even big power hungry speakers. It still drove just fine.
Oh, sure.
Like people were reluctant to try it, but once they did, people were like, it was it'll drive almost anything. It really will.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, product number is 8 for us. We did a double whammy last week. We did products 6 and 7.
Being so closely related. Yep.
Yeah, they're
they
so identical. And then this one puts us a little bit closer to the K5, which I know a lot of people have been excited for. I've had a few people reach out asking about K5 and another one asking about the P5. So we're getting there. We're climbing up. We're getting to those soon enough here. And it's just fun to be able to, again, go through some of these fun stories and get some history lessons and kind of see kind of where we were back then as far as our circuit design approach and just everything, like our whole mind, and just see how our mindset on certain things has changed throughout the years. And it's just it's good perspective. And we've got more new products that we're working on that we'll ramp up to eventually here.
Yeah.
when time permits for development.
Yeah, yeah, I'm itching to do more of that. Been pulled away a lot recently, so I am behind, and I am itching to get back to get some exciting new stuff.
Yeah, we should try, like we were talking about earlier, we should plan to try to do like a live Pints with Air session. We'll do like a live stream on YouTube and
Yeah.
just kind of hang out for a while and see who hops in and joins us, and we can just talk about what I don't know, what people want to see and some new products and stuff. We'll kind of get a round table of our actual users going. It'd be kind of
Yeah,
fun.
that'd be fun. Yeah, and the other thing that somebody suggested or almost thought it was more of an actual like weekly live event in person. We you know, for anybody who's close enough, we might actually even do almost more like an in-person get together, Pints with Air in person.
Yes. Yeah,
It would probably live stream that too.
for sure. Or if somebody ever visits us, come and does the factory tour, we can cap it off with a Pints with Air episode with a special visitor maybe. So yeah, we got a lot of things that we can ramp up to, but with Ariel getting back from vacation, I'm probably going to be going here soon and taking some time off, and we'll figure out a nice schedule for some guests and fun activities. But you guys rock. Thank you for watching our episode. I'm all out of our delicious beer for this week. Thank you, Ariel, for the Island Rascal.
Anytime.
Yeah. All right. Well, until next time, tune in next week for Pints with Air. But thank you all. Enjoy the music, enjoy the beer, stay thirsty. See you next time.